Breaking news. The Los Angeles Chargers, who started the season on fire, are suddenly facing a major setback. After opening strong, the momentum came crashing down in a shocking loss to the New York Giants, and the worst part? Most of the damage felt self-inflicted. Costly mistakes, endless penalties, and a broken offensive line have left the Chargers in a tough spot. But before we dive deeper into this breaking update, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss the latest Chargers news. Now, let's get into it. The reality is harsh. The Chargers have lost not one, but two pro-level left tackles to injury this season. And it showed badly against the Giants. Protection completely collapsed, the penalties piled up, and the team looked like they beat themselves more than they were beaten by their opponent. This is a serious concern heading into the final stretch of the season. The Chargers' season isn't over, but this latest loss has raised serious questions. Many fans are panicking after the collapse against the Giants, but one defeat doesn't have to define the year. The road ahead is tough, and the injuries are piling up, but there's still time to fight back. The biggest concern right now is the offensive line. Joe Alt went down with what looks like a high ankle sprain, and his absence was felt immediately. Rashawn Slater is already out. The backup plan, Alt, was lost mid-game, and the entire rhythm of the offense collapsed. The moment he limped off, it felt like the game shifted in the Giants' favor. Add to that the missing pieces like Khalil Mack and Mekhi Becton, and the Chargers' protection was simply overwhelmed by New York's pass rush. And then there's Justin Herbert. The stat sheet shows 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but those numbers don't tell the whole story. Herbert was under pressure almost every snap. The pocket collapsed, penalties erased big plays, and every time the Chargers built momentum, it was wiped out by mistakes. One of Herbert's interceptions came from a tipped ball that floated into a defender's hands, bad luck more than bad decision. The second came after a receiver slipped mid-route, leaving the defender wide open. Does Herbert deserve some blame? Absolutely. But to pin the loss on him alone would be unfair. The truth is this was a team-wide breakdown, bad blocking, costly penalties, and just enough misfortune to hand the Giants the win. If there was one bright spot in this tough loss, it was the performance of Quentin Johnston. Targeted 13 times, he pulled in 8 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. He's quickly proving himself as the Chargers' go-to receiver, showing consistency and playmaking ability when the team needs it most. This season, Johnston looks every bit like a rising star. Keenan Allen chipped in with 5 catches, solid, though not explosive. But the real disappointment came from Ladd McConkey. 6 targets led to just 1 catch, a brutal showing that left many fans frustrated. What was expected to be a breakout season is starting to feel more like a slump, and the Chargers need more from him if they want their passing attack to thrive. On the defensive side, the story was complicated. Yes, the Giants put up more points than anyone would like, but the numbers don't tell the full story. Turnovers and special teams miscues repeatedly handed New York great field position, putting the defense in impossible situations. Outside of the opening drive, the Chargers' defense battled, but they were constantly forced to defend a short field. Special teams also left plenty to be desired. Without Darius Davis, the return game struggled. Missed awareness and poor decisions cost valuable field position and, late in the game, even precious seconds the Chargers desperately needed. These small mistakes added up and played a big role in the final result. One thing that stood out in this game, the Chargers' defense did not quit. They fought to the very end, and some players had standout performances. Rookie pass rusher Tuli Tuipulotu was absolutely dominant, racking up 4 sacks. He's been flashing all season, but this was the breakout game fans have been waiting for. Derwin James added to the pressure with half a sack, reminding everyone of his versatility, while Caleb Murphy chipped in on the other half. Troy Dye was flying around as well, constantly disrupting plays and staying in the backfield. Despite the scoreline, this defense showed heart. The real issue wasn't effort, it was time on the field. The Chargers' offense couldn't stay alive long enough, which left the defense grinding through nearly 35 minutes of game time. Any unit would wear down under that kind of pressure. The bottom line? The Chargers' defense delivered big moments, especially in the pass rush, but without offensive stability, even strong efforts like Tuipulotu's 4 sacks aren't enough to seal a win. Even in a tough loss, one performance stood out as a real spark: rookie running back Hampton. This was his first real chance to shine against a defense that struggles against the run, and he made the most of it. Hampton ripped off a jaw-dropping 54-yard touchdown run, an explosive play that looked like it came straight out of his college highlight reel. But it wasn't just the big run. Time and again, he refused to go down, breaking tackles and fighting for every extra yard. Even on short gains, he showed the toughness and drive that could make him a cornerstone of this offense. What makes Hampton even more dangerous is his ability as a receiver. At UNC, he proved he could catch passes out of the backfield, and now that's starting to translate in the NFL. Against the Giants, he added 5 receptions for around 40 yards, giving Justin Herbert a reliable safety valve when the pocket collapsed. This is exactly what the Chargers need right now: an aggressive runner who can create plays when the offensive line struggles. Hampton's performance wasn't just a highlight of the game, it was a glimpse of what the future of this offense could look like. The Chargers may have dropped this game, but there's no denying what Hampton is becoming. Week after week, he's proving that he's not just a rookie filling in, he's a future star. With his running power and his ability as a pass catcher, Hampton is already starting to look like one of the faces of this offense alongside Justin Herbert. And while other young weapons like Ladd McConkey are still finding their footing, Hampton is seizing his moment. Now, let's talk about where this team stands. Despite the disappointment, the Chargers are still sitting near the top of the AFC West with a 3-1 record. That's not a bad place to be after 4 weeks. Yes, this loss stings. Yes, it's humbling. But the season is far from over. The biggest challenge right now is health. The list of missing stars is long: Rashawn Slater, Mekhi Becton, Joe Alt, Khalil Mack, Najee Harris. The hits just keep coming. Almost every game, it feels like the Chargers lose another key piece. But here's the encouraging part: many of these players are expected back later this season. If the Chargers can stay afloat and keep fighting through this stretch, reinforcements are coming. The schedule ahead will test them, no doubt. But with Justin Herbert leading the way and Hampton emerging as a new weapon, this team still controls its own destiny. The road ahead for the Chargers is tough, but it's also full of opportunity. The next few weeks could decide just how strong this team really is. Week 5, the Chargers face the Commanders, a game that feels very winnable. Week 6 brings the Dolphins, another matchup that's within reach if the Bolts execute. Week 7, the Colts, a team that's shown flashes, but the Chargers have every chance to take control. In Week 8, it's the Vikings. Depending on their quarterback situation, this game could swing the Chargers' way. Week 9 brings the Titans, and given their struggles, that's another realistic win. Week 10, the Steelers, a tough opponent, but not unbeatable. Week 11, the Jaguars, talented, yes, but also inconsistent, giving the Chargers another opening. Then comes the bye in Week 12, followed by Week 13 against the Raiders. Division games are always unpredictable, but the Chargers should walk in confident. When you look at this stretch, at least 5 or 6 games are very much within the Chargers' grasp. Sure, this season won't be the perfect, undefeated dream that fans hoped for, but that doesn't mean it's slipping away. The key will be surviving until Week 14 against the Eagles. If by then the Chargers can get players like Joe Alt and Khalil Mack back on the field, and if they manage to stay healthier down the stretch, this team still has a real shot at making noise in December. The back half of the schedule is brutal, with the Eagles, the Chiefs again, and the Cowboys, but if the Bolts can weather the storm, they'll be right there in the fight. The Chargers close out their season with the Texans in Week 17 and the Broncos in Week 18. By then, the hope is simple: get the core pieces back on the field. Joe Alt and Khalil Mack are the two names everyone is waiting for, because their return could change everything. This team already proved something big by starting 3-0 in the division. That's no small feat, and even though injuries have tested them at every turn, there's still belief that if they can just hold the line until December, they'll be in position to make a serious run. The key is survival. Survive until Week 14 against the Eagles, stack as many wins as possible in the meantime, and keep fighting through the setbacks. If the Chargers are sitting at 8-4 around that point with their stars returning, a 10-7 or even 11-6 finish is not only realistic, it's playoff football. And once the Chargers get into the postseason with their roster close to full strength, nobody is going to want to see them on the other side of the field. It was a tough game, no doubt. Frustrating, humbling, and maybe even painful. But that's part of the fight. Be angry today if you want, tomorrow, it's about bouncing back. The season is far from over. The Chargers still control their destiny, and every fan knows what this team can be when they're healthy. Bolt up, the best chapters of this story are still waiting to be written.